call our meeting to order. We were supposed to start at 10 o'clock, and I think it's 10:03 right now, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'd like to call our meeting to order, and I'd like to ask the council to call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Beckett.
Here.
Mr. Blackman. Mr. Brown. Here. Mr. Eubanks. Here. Mr. Ford. Here. Mr. Mangold. Here. Mr. Reed. Here. Mr. Shanks. Here. Mr. Taylor. Mr. White. Here. All right, from the Senate, Mr. Kirby. Here. Mr. Bryan. Here. Mr. DeBar. Here. Mr. Harkins. Here. Mr. Hobson. Here. Mr. Parker. Here. Mr. Simmons. Here. Mr. Tate. Here. Ms. Turner Ford. And Mr. Wiggins. Here. All right, we have a quorum present, Chairman.
All right, thank you. I'd like to ask for approval of the minutes of the November 19, 2021 meeting. I think each of y'all have those. Are there any corrections or alterations that need to be made? All right. All right. Got a break, move approval. Do I have a second? All right. Okay. All those in favor, place your right hand, please. All right. Any opposed? All right. Feel like we're swearing in. All right. Thank you very much. At this time, after a great deal of work, we want to have the consideration, possible adoption of a congressional redistricting plan per provisions of Mississippi Code annotated section 5-3-121. Let's think, and at this time, I'd like to recognize Jason White.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a plan, of course, that the committee has worked on, and certainly you've worked on a great deal. If it would please the chair, I would like to offer this plan to the committee. I would like to explain it as best I can, then I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right, please go to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I will speak briefly with a general overview of the numbers and where we are, and I guess you'd say what got us to this point. I'd like to go over real quick the criteria that we adopted, and then I will attempt to run through the plan as it addresses those issues. Then I'd be glad to answer any questions. As you know, our statewide population decreased in our 2020 census. We are down a little over 6,000 people. I think 6,018 was the number. We went from 2,967,297 to 2,961,279. That was a net decrease of 6,018 Mississippians. In the 4 congressional districts, 3 of those slightly gained population, and 1 of those, being District 2, experienced significant loss of population. District 2 experienced a decrease of over 9%, 9.08%, while District 1 had a 2.21 increase, District 3 had 1.24 increase, and District 4 had a 4.82% increase. As a result, District 2 had to gain significant population to the tune of over 65,000 people. At the same time, this committee has to ensure that our plan is in compliance with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. With that overview in mind of the numbers, let's look real quick and remember the redistricting criteria adopted by this committee as our guide. Number 1 is the 1 person, 1 vote requirement. That's the first thing we have to look at. And of course, when drawing congressional districts, our U.S. Supreme Court has held that district population should be as equal as practical. We have attempted to do that. And in fact, they are equal. The ideal population size for a congressional district now in Mississippi would be 740,320. And in this committee proposed plan that I bring to you today, District 3 actually hits that number, 743.20. District 1 has 743.19. District 2 has 743.19. And District 4 has 743.21. So all 4 districts are either on that exact number or only one person away. Contiguity is the second criteria that we adopted. In other words, making sure that the districts are composed of contiguous territory, and all 4 of these congressional districts in this proposed committee plan do just that. We must ensure compliance with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, being our third criteria that we adopted. And under the benchmark plan that we have now, I would remind you, District 2 is the one majority-minority district, and it has a black voting age population of 62.27%. When the federal court drew that plan in 2011, District 2 had a slightly lower BVAP of 61.36%. And during the last 10 years, and certainly based on history and political performance, that BVAP has been sufficient to afford minority citizens an opportunity to elect a candidate of their choice for Congress in District 2. This committee proposed plan for District 2 has a BVAP of 61.05%, which is certainly a sufficient percentage to ensure compliance with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and is only 0.31% away from what the federal court drew in 2010. Court factors that they used in drawing our plan in 2010 and that they use in other plans. We thought it would be prudent to pay attention to those since they factor those in. They employ additional neutral factors in addition to the ones that I have already spoken of. Compactness, the committee plan maintains compactness in comparison to the existing districts, which were drawn by the court, I would remind you. County and municipal splits. The committee's proposed plan makes Clark County whole. It cleans up the split as best we can in Oktibbeha County. Jones County is split slightly to achieve population equality between districts 3 and 4. About 10,000 people in Jones County are in that split. Overall, it maintains the same number of county splits that we have under our current benchmark plan. And with regard to municipal splits, it maintains only one split, and I believe that is in the city of Jackson. Historical and regional interests that the court looks at. This proposed plan preserves as much as possible the core and historical regional interests of the River Delta region, East Central Mississippi, Southwest Mississippi, North Mississippi, and the Gulf Coast region. We did move territory in Southwest Mississippi from District 3 to District 2 to achieve population equality between the two, but we kept the Southwest Mississippi region intact as much as we could. Those 4 counties being Adams, Wilkinson, Franklin, and Amite. Those counties as a whole are moving from District 3 to District 2 in the committee's plan. The proposed plan keeps the 4 major research universities in separate districts, as well as the military bases that are located in Lowndes, Lauderdale, and Harrison counties. The court kept those that way, and this plan does that too. This proposed plan also looks at growth areas as the court did, and it continues making an effort, as did the court, to maintain as much as possible, placing the most rapidly growing areas of the state into separate districts as much as we could, given the legal constraints that we have to comply with in drawing districts. The proposed plan keeps all of the incumbents in their current district, and none are drawn together. We also look at political performance, and that's an important consideration for all of us in developing the proposed plan that the committee comes forward with, is maintaining political performance in each of the 4 districts. This plan maintains Republican political performance in districts 1, 3, and 4, and it maintains Democratic performance in District 2. In closing, Mr. Chairman, I would simply say that this proposed committee plan meets the redistricting criteria that was adopted by this committee. It complies with the 1 person, 1 vote requirement of the U.S. Constitution. All the districts are contiguous. It complies with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and it adheres as closely as possible to the neutral redistricting factors used by the federal court in drawing our past two plans. As such, I would submit to you it's a good congressional plan for the citizens of the state of Mississippi, and I would urge this committee to adopt this plan. Mr. Chairman, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right, do you make that in form of a motion?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Do I have any questions? All right. You're recognized, Senator Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could you tell the members of the committee again what were the changes made to Congressional District 2?
The changes to District 2, the counties of Adams, Wilkinson, Franklin, and Amite were added, were changed from District 3 to District 2. In other words, those are now included in District 2, and there were some very slight changes to some precincts in Hinds County to achieve our population requirements. And those were the only changes to District 2.
I know that the incumbent congressman in District 2, his home county is Hinds County. Is the entire Hinds County part of Congressional District 2 in the proposed?
It is not under the current plan, and it is not under this proposed committee plan.
Under the new plan that's being proposed, how long is Congressional District 2 when it goes from Tunica all the way to Wilkinson County, almost the length of the state of Mississippi?
It currently is 200, I think I remember this number, it's currently 276 miles from north to south in the current benchmark plan. And with the increase of Adams and Wilkinson, there's a slight increase in the actual geographical distance, obviously by adding those two counties on the south, adding those 4 counties on the south end of the district. I apologize, Senator, I don't have the mileage, but it does increase it slightly. But I would say in districts 1, 3, and 4, it decreases the distances in those 3. So our overall plan actually achieves slightly some geographical compactness, while it does slightly increase District 2.
Thank you so much. I do have a question for the chair.
Okay.
I received a letter from Congressman Benny Thompson regarding his proposed map. Did the members of the committee get that letter and proposed map that he sent, I think, last week?
I assume the members of the committee got it. I received it, and I've heard from several members they did receive it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are there any further questions? All right. You recognize.
This Magnolia plan that we received in the handout, that's one of the alternative plans other than the plan that you're going over up there?
The Magnolia plan that you are looking at is the plan that I'm proposing to this committee.
Okay, well, there's one concern that I have, and don't know whether it's meaningful or not, and that is southern Madison County. There's a dip by District 3 into southern Madison County, which is very populated. And why wasn't that dip perhaps done in District 4, where there was 37,000 additional residents that move into that area, and that would keep Madison County, you might say, solidly in District 2.
Gentlemen, you say District 4, maybe 3?
I said 3. I'm saying District 3 is.
I just want to be sure I understand your question.
District 3 is dipping into southern Madison County.
Yes, sir.
I'm saying it seems to me that's a heavy populated area, which, of course, the congressman in District 2 could use the extra residents. Why wasn't the additional area for District 3 carved out of District 4?
I think you mean carved out of District 3, but, and if that is your question.
My question again is, in southern Madison County.
You keep saying carved out of District 4, I think you mean District 3, gentlemen. And if so, I understand your question.
Well, no.
Southern Madison County.
Let me explain myself, because I don't think you got my. I'm saying to you that if you look at the map that we're looking at for the Magnolia 1 proposed plan, southern Madison County is in District 3.
Yes, sir.
There's a very heavy populated area, and it's still growing. I said, then why wouldn't Madison County remain solid for District 2, and the additional residents, if needed, would be carved out of District 4 for District 3.
The portion of southern Madison County that you allude to that is currently in District 3, that is currently in District 3 under the benchmark plan that the court drew 10 years ago. It was this committee's proposal to keep that in the district that it's currently in. Those are Republican performing areas. They are heavily populated areas. It was the thrust of this committee to keep that in District 3.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. I tell you what, I think it'd be simple. I just ask the roll we call for the vote.
Okay, here's Mr. Beckett.
Aye.
Mr. Blackman, not present. Mr. Brown. Mr. Eubanks. Mr. Ford. Mr. Mangold. Mr. Reed. Mr. Shanks. Mr. Taylor. Mr. White. From the Senate, Mr. Kirby. Mr. Bryan. Mr. DeBar. Mr. Harkins. Mr. Hobson. Mr. Parker. Mr. Simmons. Mr. Tate. Ms. Turner Ford. Mr. Wiggins. And then we'll go back, Mr. Brown.
No.
The measure has passed, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. The measure has passed. At this time, I would move to the next order of business, which I don't think there's any old business. I don't think there's any other business. Mr. Chairman, is there anything else we need to do?
No other business if no one
All right, there's no other business. At this time, I take a motion that we adjourn. All right, second. All those in favor say aye. Yeah.